Hello and welcome back to This Week in the FCL. And again, what a fantastic week of action we were blessed with. We had two exciting rookies in the main event with Imon Frost taking on the wise guy Gerald Batolia, and an opening match that involved the one-time Schmoedown player, the Cinefanatics' own Robert Adams, as he took on the real one, Andrew Furtado. Speaking of Andrew Furtado, he may be appearing later on in the show. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, without further ado, I'm going to bring in Keith and Andrew for the match breakdowns.
Week 2 in the FCL is in the books, and what a main event we had. We had Imon Frost versus Gerard Batolia, a wise guy, Italian kind of figure, and a real cool, withdrawn personality with Frost. Promos came up, and we definitely got that feel and vibe very, very much so. Andrew, what was your thoughts before we got into the match itself?
Before anything even started with this matchup, Keith, I thought we have some very interesting competitors here, very different competitors. As the match went on, we'd eventually see that Gerald Batolia, he's not such a bad guy, but he's coming out with a character, just the presentation of it. He seems like he might be a little more of the heel type, maybe a little more sneaky. Even in the promo, though, just showing a lot of excitement. Very, very standard for him. Imon Frost, young, very excited about being in the movie trivia. She's just having a good time, and she wants everybody to know it. And I think that showed through the match as well, but I'm sure we'll talk a lot about it as we get into it.
Chris, what were your initial thoughts?
I posted out on the Twitter my thoughts of after the match, but going into the match, again, I was not massively familiar with them, but I did my bit of research, and what I will say, it seems, in comparison to Abby, who I know Imon and Abby do reactions together, it seems Imon's knowledge is probably a bit more broader. It seems Abby may be more focused on inner geekdom categories sort of thing. You know, she did really well on Middle Earth last week, yeah. Where if you look at the round one questions that Abby actually missed, yes, she missed 4, but it was a very broad range. I think it was franchises, fantasy, sci-fi, movie release dates, which, you know, it wasn't long ago where the only people that liked movie release dates were Ben Bateman and Scott Matz. So, you know, it's never an easy category. And was action adventure, and she got directors, comedies, 2000s, and famous actors and actresses right. So, you know, it seems like I can't pinpoint where her strengths really could be. But as far as the characters go, I thought they were brilliant. And Gerald, so cool and calm, like you said, Keith. I was really impressed with him. He just, you know, even when we'll get into it later on, when Imon actually challenged that question, didn't phase him whatsoever. He just kind of just seemed to cruise through it. So I was really impressed with both of these competitors.
Definitely. So, like, we take round one as an overview. So it ends in 9-4 up, Jers in the lead, and it's the first perfect round of this year's FCL. So he's laying down that strong marker to be like, listen, you're going to get in with me. This is what you're going to get. In terms of the questions, obviously there was a couple of kind of misses that were interesting from Imon's kind of point of view. And the movie release date question, the 2018, there was the question about Casino Royale. So you're just kind of wondering, is that kind of 2000s onwards maybe like not as strong a category for her? They were kind of the initial top line views I had from the first round myself.
I mean, I got to agree with you. The interesting thing for Imon in round number one is definitely the misses. Gerald coming away with the perfect round. And again, just major props. To be the first to do it, that's got to be a real big feather in his cap, put some fear in his opponents. But I thought Imon had some interesting answers. Ironically, I was looking at the questions that you weren't looking at, Keith. You said there's a 2018, there's Terminator Dark Fate. These mean maybe newer movies of trouble. I saw Scrooged was a miss. I saw The Hunt for Red October was a miss. And I see Imon Frost, and don't take this the wrong way, with age comes a lot of things, but I'd be younger if I could. She is clearly a young person. I thought maybe before 1985, 1990, somewhere in that range, her movie knowledge appears to be falling off a little bit. Maybe if I were looking for a category for her on a wheel in a future matchup, action adventure, the 70s and the 80s might be directions that I would head in just based on this. But again, one match, one round, who knows? We'll see more as she plays more.
Completely, and that's the thing, I suppose, with this whole FCL is that we don't know what these people's strengths are. So we're learning as they're learning almost. But it's funny that you mentioned action adventure, and we'll get to that in the second round. But I think the thing that we've kind of spoken about some off screen is this kind of idea of intent of knowledge, and we really see that with Jared in the second round. He dictates the terms of how this round is going to go. He knows he's up by 5, so he's probably thinking in his head, right, strong second round, let's get ahead by 8, 9, 10. Let's see how this TKO, KO kind of system can get into place. And he spins on Nolan, which can be quite broad. We've seen it with Andrew Guy a couple of times in the actual Schmoedown, obviously. So comes out of the gate, 2-2, first 2 questions, happy enough. Third question of the round is the Dunkirk question. How many men were evacuated? That's a pretty tough question, regardless whether you're an FCL competitor or you're a real movie trivia Schmoedown competitor.
Some really great use of multiple choice by Gerald on that one. I love it here.
Definitely. So he gets that right, thankfully, with the use of multiple choice. So at that stage, he's up by 10. And I guess as we're kind of developing this week in, week out, I think you're going to see a lot more of this where guys are going to go first because they want to get that lead and they want to put that pressure back on the other person because they're all so inexperienced in terms of this. Obviously, there's probably certain levels of movie trivia knowledge that they all have, but I think get yourself in a position where you can force the KO and TKO. But that was kind of my initial thoughts of Jared's second round.
I mean, I don't disagree one bit about trying to get ahead of things. I think there's maybe the most interesting strategic question remaining in the Schmoedown or in the FCL at this point would be whether you defer or whether you go or whether you take the spin yourself. That being said, in Batalia's position here, I don't think there's ever a time when you don't spin your wheel first. He's already up coming out of round 1 by 5 points. If he can come out of round 2, as he did, couple multiple choices, even more than the one that he took, maybe even miss a question, give up a small steal, whatever you got to do. But if you can put 5 or 6 points up there and your opponent can only answer back with 0 or 1, you're putting yourself in a position where they have to perfect their round 2 just to get close. And that's not a position anyone wants to be in. That's going to put the pressure on. That's going to try to make them crack. I think there's no reason you ever don't take this first spin. And Gerald did a hell of a job with it. Great use of multiple, like I said. Great hits all throughout the category. I mean, it's real dangerous for Iman, but I thought she also did a great job handling herself. That challenge, I mean, obviously she has some knowledge. There's some deep cut knowledge buried in her brain for her to even be able to say something like that. Great challenge from her, but she's in a rough spot coming out of round 2.
She is indeed, and so she wins the challenge. She almost talks herself out of it, but she does get there, which is the most important thing. So she's down by 8 on her spin, and then takes the spin, action adventure comes up. And again, there's this kind of, again, it comes back to this intent of knowledge, like what do these competitors want to be going for in the second round? Takes the action adventure, hits the first 2, and then we come into the Joe Pesci lethal weapon question, which unfortunately she gets wrong. Jared snaps that 2 points back from her, and then she's able to take the fourth question with the Top Gun director being Tony Scott, which leads her down by 4 going at the end of the second round. So, Chris, in terms of the action adventure round, what were your thoughts?
Well, for me, I didn't know any of them. So I think Iman did very, very well to get where she got with them. Actually, that's a lie. I knew the Gone in 60 Seconds question. That was from this round, wasn't it? But yeah, I was thoroughly impressed with both competitors all through this match. And I just want to highlight again the guts it took on your debut, first ever match to actually go for that challenge and actually have the guts and guile, as I put on the little Twitter reaction I did to of Abby to actually, not Abby, I keep saying Abby, Iman to actually have the guts to go for it and win. It was just fantastic.
I thought, yeah, very cool, calm, and collected by Iman in this round. She did a good job. And really, for being behind, I said she was in a bad spot, but she handles herself incredibly well. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that on that steal, her opponent, Mr. Batolia, Leo, gets the points. There's some character name humor from Lethal Weapon 2 for you folks. But good round all around for both players. I really did like this round too.
So the end of round 2, she closed the gap. So she was down by 5. She's now down by 4. But there's still that 5-point swing coming into the last round. And this is something that the pros like Bateman and Rook have talked about in the past. You want to be up by 5 or more. You want to be forcing your opponent to answer 2 or more questions in this last round. So it's up to Iman to come back now. 2-pointer, Steven Spielberg. How many films in the Jurassic Park franchise has he directed? Gets that. Happy days. 3-pointer comes in. Catherine Bigelow. What's the location in T19 Widowmaker? Unfortunately, she openly says she doesn't know the movie. And then we come down to the 5-pointer, which is in the category of TC legend, the great Tom Cruise. What movie is he with Ed Harris and Holly Hunter? To PLD had something to do with bringing that question in, seeing it's an Ed Harris one. And this unfortunately, she doesn't know. Exactly.
This week in the EHL.
So, unfortunately, she was unable, with the use of all 3 GTEs, to get the answer, which was the firm, and a TKO win for Jared in his debut match. So that's kind of like where we ended on round 3. But I definitely think even through the misses, there's a lot that Iman is going to learn from competing.
Absolutely. And I think it just showed, again, like I said about with the Estelle, she made sure she used all of her repeats, and she took her time to actually see if she could pull these answers, which, new players doesn't necessarily happen that way. And later on, we'll be speaking about the other match, and when someone in that match did not use all their repeats when maybe they should have, but we'll get to that a bit later on.
Yeah, no, absolutely cool. Comment collected by Ewan Frost. Very, very well performed. I love the repeats of the JTE. I love the challenge. I love that she did not get frazzled when she fell behind. I think there's a lot of talent here. I think there's a lot of chance for Iman to do some real damage, but Gerald's got to be feeling happy. Sometimes a perfect first round is all it takes. Some tough questions for Iman in round number 3, but I do like, as I said, exactly what she showed us here. And in the end, Batolia, very impressive win. I like both these competitors. I had a lot of fun with this match. I can't wait to see either one of them come back again. But Gerald's got a lot to live up to now. So I think he's going to be someone to look out for as we move forward into those next matches. The next person who's facing him has got to worry. Is he going to be able to repeat this kind of performance?
Yep, exactly. So I think that's time we move on to the opening match, where I am going to disappear to the background because we've got a very special guest joining Andrew and Keith. See you on the other side.
We have a very special guest joining us, as you heard. I am thrilled, a man with class, style, grace, and he's looking so fresh, so clean, dresses to the nines. That's right, it's Andrew Furtado. Welcome to This Week in the FCL.
Thank you guys so much for having me on here. It's a pleasure to be here, surrounded by good company. I don't know if you guys knew this or not. I actually passed up all the other after shows and stuff like that so I could give you the exclusive on this, because I felt like you guys are the only ones who seemed the most level-headed. You're the only ones who really seem to believe in me also, which it's shocking, believe it or not. And long story short, I'm very happy to be here with you guys.
And we are extremely happy to have you, Andrew. And I'll be honest, straight out the gate, when I seen your promos on Twitter, I said to myself, I want this guy to win. And it absolutely crushed me with what happened. But listen.
Well, it's still kind of tender, to be fully honest. But at the same time, I don't blame anyone other than a series. Like, this whole past Tuesday was a very Lemony Snicket situation for me. A series of unfortunate events, movie reference. Come on, catch up, guys. For example, on Tuesday, the day of the match, I actually had my second COVID vaccine. So now I'm fully able to go out. They didn't tell us we needed to be vaccinated, but I felt it'd be safer to be vaccinated. Little did I know that the second vaccine is the one that really just stomps you down. And I tried to reschedule my match, but obviously, as you were saying, Keith, the hype was so big that I'd be doing a disservice to the FCL and myself if I didn't follow the old saying, the show must go on. But obviously, I should have stuck with my guns. Brad Gilmore also got his COVID vaccine, and as you saw on the show last night, he was saying how he was near death, and all he's doing is talking about the show. I'm in it, and I should have had my head in the game. I mean, very few things. Who's Jeremy Garner? Like that's a COVID answer, in my opinion. Obviously, I know the difference between Jeremy Renner and Jennifer Garner, but again, not an excuse. Not an excuse. Not an excuse.
Not an excuse. Just to clarify. Not
at the same time, COVID.
I'm just gonna throw this out there, Andrew, because I mean, you're obviously a man of intellect, a man of character, but you say you're blaming nobody, and maybe it was a heat of the moment sort of thing. Maybe right now it's coming a little more clearly into your mind. But I was watching that match just like everybody else, and when you lost, I was heartbroken. Obviously, want to see you get that victory, but you made some implications. You said some things about maybe whether there was a little bit of a
not my finest hour.
No, like you went after PLD.
But
the man is the
my
patron saint
hour.
of the Schmoedown. Let's be honest. He's the patron saint of the Schmoedown, and you went for him.
You know, the thing about the PLD situation, it has been solved. I sent him a care package of Ed Harris films as an apology for going off on him as hard as I did. But at the same time, I don't know if you guys paid attention to this or saw this on Twitter afterwards. Yes, there was a very heavy Kevin Smith round. The question that won Robert the match was a Kevin Smith question. But did you notice who got rated as soon as the stream ended?
I believe they were sending it over to one Jason Mewes, a little-known actor who's appeared in some Kevin Smith films, if I'm not mistaken.
Nine Kevin Smith films.
There you go. There's a point for him the next time a match comes up. It's a shame that point didn't come up in round 3. Yeah,
I'm just saying, obviously, yes, I lost. I've accepted this. I'm moving in with that, and we're picking out the furniture. You know, the loss and I are together for a long time, but I do not consider this to be a judgment of my character. As you were saying, Andrew, I am very well knowledged. I have been doing trivia since I can remember, and this is an unfortunate blemish, but just like a good birthmark, it's there, and I wear it with pride.
Well, you are a man after my own heart, Andrew, and after my own name, of course. Back when I used to announce matches myself, I was known as the best dressed, the hardest working. Clearly, two aspects that I think you are embodying in the FCL. But let's talk a little bit about the match itself. The loss is there. You have to accept it. You have to move on. Let's talk about what did happen in that matchup. Keith,
well, hold on. Before we even get into the matchup, I don't even want to talk about the matchup without bringing this up. I cannot stress this enough. Another thing that threw me off my game, other than the COVID vaccine, they didn't play my music. I specifically actually licensed a song from a very famous band to play, and for some reason, they just didn't use it. So even starting off, not in the best headspace, just even further not in the best headspace. I just want to make that. I just want to make that clear.
But so are you saying then is that Skybound's fault that music wasn't signed off?
I'm not saying. I'm just saying it happened as well. It's a series of unfortunate events, and just it seemed like the scales was tipped heavily against me. I don't think they wanted someone as bold and confident and aggressive as myself to be the first champion. I don't think they wanted to see somebody like that succeed. So I think, despite my knowledge and despite my best efforts, I feel that they went out of their way to try to make it an uphill battle for me, and that's something that I understand. So just going off that, I just wanted to add that in, shoehorn that little bit of trivia in for you. You know,
okay. A man who makes no excuses, but definitely has a few reasons on this.
I'm not making excuses. I've accepted the past. I just need context, just like any good. Trivia question comes out of context and knowledge, giving you guys and people the information to inform them. I feel like that's very important.
Okay, so if we're going to talk about context, let's talk about round 1. Toy Story and GoldenEye. How did you think that was released in 92?
I was confusing it with GoldenEye, the video game. I don't know if you played that masterpiece.
I have not.
But first off, I guess that's unfortunate. You've got cricket on the brain. Because GoldenEye is a goddamn great game, and it formed my childhood, and so did Toy Story. And as I said in the game, Toy Story is timeless. That movie has come out many times over the years, and
three or four.
There are 4. That's many. That's more than one, and I'll tell you that. I don't claim to know. Why are we going right to the first wrong question? Can we talk about the first question I got right? How about that? I don't know, Keith.
Okay, I'm getting there.
No. You seem to pass right past it. I'm sorry. No excuses. This is bull, but that's fine. Let's just keep going. Let's keep moving forward.
Okay, so Andrew, that round one didn't go exactly the way you hoped. You come down just a few points shy, but we are going to be heading into something that's a little bit more exciting for you because your opponent did well, but you do too in round number 2. Isn't that right, Keith?
Yeah, so Adams goes first, hits Kevin Smith, goes 8 for 8. Your turn. Little spin, lands on a little 6-letter word called horror, and I have not since William Bibiani years ago have I seen someone jump up and flail in excitement at a category. And listen, you backed it up.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, horror is one of the many genres I really enjoy. Also, I want to mention the thing is, like, I don't even think people realize just how close it was to getting to the next cat.
Oh.
There, and it was. That's the tension. That's the beauty. That's the sign that horror was the perfect one for me to answer. And yeah, please also do me a favor. Bibiani, I don't necessarily appreciate the comparison there. My wife almost left me. Apparently, someone on the Twitch stream compared me to him, and that was a conversation that Bibiani and I have a bit of a past where we used to do trivia together, and I got to be honest with you, man. Don't worry, people tell him to shut up in real life too, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, horror has always been a very big, strong suit, just because the first film I ever saw was a horror film. It was The Lost Boys. Saw it on VHS and actually didn't see the ending until many years later. Well, you look confused. As why a newborn child would watch The Lost Boys.
For me, it was Dick Tracy. It was the first movie I remember seeing. Probably not any more kid-friendly. Have you seen that? That's a horror show. All the big faces and weird makeup. Ugh. But you know, it is what it is. You do very impressively in the horror category. A Stephen King fan myself, love that you got that question. And and we're going to mark you as this for right now. It is only a couple matches in, but right now, from the performance, you are the resident horror expert in the FCL. That's fair to say. You spun the category. You went perfect. Nobody else has done what you did. So a very important film question for you, Andrew Furtado. I need this from an expert. Is it not pronounced the Vivitch?
Trust me, that's why I threw out the 2 V's. I had to make that clarification just in case. I needed to cover both bases on that one.
Smart competitor, cover your bases on it.
As any good horror fan knows, it is the Vivitch. Ask anybody.
Okay. So to be fair, you didn't have a great first round. Rallied great in the second.
Really love bringing up that first round, don't you, Keith? Jesus Christ!
I'm bringing this back around. Come on, Furtado, work with me.
I'm sorry. It's just
okay.
COVID.
I know. We're all dealing with it. So you're down by 2 going into the last round. Talk to me as you're picking these numbers. Where's the headspace at?
I was actually channeling some very important numbers to myself, and it was a wedding anniversary situation.
Oh.
I was trying to do something sweet for my wife, and unfortunately, it came back to bite me in the ass.
Well, you know that old saying, Andrew, as women, you can't live with them, and you can't use them to pick your trivia numbers.
My door is open, Andrew. Please, she can hear us.
Okay.
My apologies.
Jesus.
So we move into round 3. You take out the M. Night 2-pointers. So you're leveled up. Then Kevin Smith comes back to bite you again for Adams's 2. How frustrating was that to hear those 10 letters come back up again?
Well, yeah, thank you very much, Keith. You're right. You did have a little bit of journalistic integrity there. So the part there that really did bother me, I obviously, with any emotion, if you're in a state of illness or despair, you're going to be magnified. So I was definitely frustrated. I could have composed myself a little bit better. PLD again, sorry about that. But I just, like, I have to remind myself that it is luck of the draw. But I also have to remind the people that my letterbox is public, and PLD had access to it. And I'm not saying that obviously that was the thing, but if you look at my letterbox, you'd see the movies I haven't seen, and one of those being She Got Game. It's a blind spot for me. And obviously, I've seen the trailer many times, but there are many basketball films out there, and I unfortunately went for the wrong one. I couldn't remember the star, but the COVID bested me on that one too, and it's unfair. But yeah, Kevin Smith is kind of a dick, in my opinion, just for coming up so much in my life this week specifically. And now his match is he just had a match on Friday, which is also kind of.
And being a man of knowledge, I mean, you obviously know the game, you know the numbers, and that Kevin Smith really did hit you hard throughout this match. I was a bit surprised that you didn't challenge way back in round number 2 when they asked the question about Justin Long appearing as Brandon St. Randy, because if I recall correctly, for legal reasons, he's a completely distinct character from Brandon St. Randy, who's still owned by the Weinstein Company for Zack and Mary Make a Porno, and technically not the same character. Did you think about challenging that one?
Honestly, thank you so much for bringing this up. I did not know this is a developmental league, and I never really run into this situation before. I've never known that I could challenge on an opponent's wheel round. I thought it was just only when we had head-to-head. So if I knew that, if that was clear stated in the rules, I would have definitely taken advantage of that, because I guess it sounds like going through my mind.
You're saying that it's one more block in the stacked against you, one more card in the deck that's going your opponent's way.
There's a reason you're the head of the show, isn't there, Andrew? I genuinely appreciate you fully in the same headspace of a competitor. I look forward to fighting you one day on the field. I'll tell you that. That's for sure.
Well, I've been in some movie trivia matches, and I got to say, if you want to challenge, I am probably not the guy you want to go up against, but more than happy to talk with you anytime, because you are obviously a very delightful person to speak to.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd love to come back anytime you need.
Okay, so we're past M. Night. We're past Kevin Smith. We're past Spike Lee, and we're down bottom of the 9th. One question to go. Catherine Bigelow, talk to me. How do you get Garner from Renner? How do you get ScarJo from Anthony Mackie? Talk to me, Furtado. Talk to me.
To be fair, ScarJo did say that an actor should be able to play any character regardless of race or ethnicity. So she might have been in the running.
Yeah. Man, I've actually been to Q&As for the Hurt Locker, and again, it just comes down to COVID. I'm telling you, man, Jeremy. Okay, first off, as soon as I said Jeremy Garner, I don't know if you remember this. I used a JTE right then and there. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate. It is. I kind of just I let it get to my head, and I got in there, and unfortunately, Jeremy Garner. What is even happening there? First off, I believe Andrew on Twitter, follow him on there. He posted that one of those tweets that had the pick your parents situation. Who would play your parents in a biopic? And if I'm wrong here, correct me. Jeremy Garner is not a person, but Jeremy Renner and Jennifer Garner are.
That is
Jeremy Renner and
I think I may have thrown you off. I was posting Scarlett Johansson on that one. It was who would play you in a biopic. I was making the same reference I believe I made a second ago, because my sense of humor, unlike yours, Andrew, is not fresh and new every time. I try my hardest. I do what I can. That being said, I mean, you come up with the wrong answer on this. You are behind. It's a lot of pressure in the third round. But here's the question, and I'm not going to give you a free pass on this one, Andrew. I know Keith would not be happy with me if I did. Why don't you use your other 2 repeats? Why not? They're right there. You still have them. Take your time. Clearly, you're struggling with the question for whatever reason. It's COVID. It's a bad question. Somebody's out to get you. Who cares why? You're having trouble. You ask for a JT.
No,
it's
true.
There.
I agree. I just at some point in time, you have to remind yourself, pull the Band-Aid off. I chose not to use those 2 PLDs, hoping they'd carry over to my next round. If that ever does happen, which it will, I'd love to have five JTEs my next round, and And then afterwards, I read the rules again. Once COVID brain cleared, you don't. They're not carryover, you know. So I should have used them. That was on me. That's 100% on me. Yeah. You know, no one else in the league so far has done any full use of their JTEs. So, you know, it's still up in the air. And Brad has said multiple times that he is trying to make this thing different. So I figured, you know, cover all my bases. Again, Vavitch, 2 JTEs, 1 PLD. You know, it all comes in. It all comes in waves.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's a lot that we said about that matchup. Keith, anything else that you'd like to ask Andrew while we have him here?
No, I think we've gotten a real good kind of 360 view of you as a person, of you as a competitor. And seeing as you're still here, you're 0-1. Shoot your shot. Who do you want next? Who do you want to get back in against?
I need to do some. Well, here's the thing: is there's a lot of great competitors still to debut, and I'd love to just kind of look through and see what they've got and do some more research, because clearly you put me, an overweight man in glasses, next to someone who is also an overweight man in glasses, you're going to get a lot of same likes. You know, I was raised by women, so I was hoping for a lot more diversity, but that was a very broy wheel. That was a very broy match. And unfortunately, you know, weight against weight, we're going to get a lot of the same answers on that one. So it was man, I don't know. I'd love to fight someone who, you know, also at the same time, let's double back real quick, because no one seems to be reporting this. All he's got is Kevin Smith questions under his belt. So we don't know how he does in other rounds. So he might show his true colors. I don't know if you remember watching his first match. He missed Charlize Theron, one of the most female-driven stars in most movies. She's always been a female in every movie she's been in, and she kills it. She kills it.
True. But we're not talking about what happened then. We're talking about what happened Tuesday, and he only missed one question. And that's just the facts.
Yeah, Chronicle, and I got that question right, so I don't know why you're bringing this up again. Like, I get it. He also didn't answer a 0.3 and a 5-pointer, so, I mean, technically he didn't answer 3 questions, in my opinion. But you report the news any way you want, Keith. You're doing great. Yeah, you're doing great.
Thanks, Andrew. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the feedback.
All right. I think some very good questions asked, and obviously some very great insights brought to us by our special guest, Andrew Furtado. He is a man with some bold plans. He's moving forward in the FCL and has his sights set on the Schmoedown. And remember, from Andrew Furtado, you will never hear an excuse. He's a man of no excuses. Andrew, thank you again for joining us. Where can the people find you out there?
You can follow me on my Twitter, Andrew Furtado on there. I am also on Letterboxd. Yeah, that's pretty much all I need. And if you're a competitor, you won't find anything out from my Letterboxd. There is no discernible tell. I watch everything, and I want you to remember that.
All right, thank you again, Andrew Furtado. You can find him at Andrew Furtado on Twitter and on a Letterboxd that will soon have exactly 0 films for other people to check on. That's right, the only empty Letterboxd on the internet. Andrew Furtado, thank you so much. Best of luck in your future endeavors in the FCL and moving towards the Schmoedown. And now, after breaking down that match, we've already talked about our other match this week, a little out of order with our special guest, but now we're going to throw you to what's happening next week in the FCL.
Hi guys, yes, and I am back, and it's time to look at next week in the FCL. I just have to say before I start out, Andrew and Keith, that was a fantastic chat you had with Andrew Furtado. Keith, I think you upset him a little bit. Andrew, you definitely sucked up to him a little bit, but, you know, we'll deal with this as we go along, I'm sure. But, okay, so next week we have 2 more exciting matches. We've got a main event with Schmoedown alum, Devon Stewart. Whether he's going to be British or not, who knows? We'll see. Up against Kofi Outlaw. And we have 2 rookies, John Knight taking on Nick Harley. So what do you guys know about these competitors we've got coming up, Keith?
So I think if we take the undercard at first between Knight and Harley, This is really contrasting styles. I think this is going to be. We've already seen the promo vid from Knight being the collector. I've christened him the Luke Hobbs of the FCL. But if looking at his kind of like his Twitter, his kind of YouTube channel, it's very heavy on IG content. A lot of comic book movies, a lot of Marvel, DC content, and also he does a lot of watch-alongs with sports. So I'm kind of thinking perhaps we're looking at potentially in terms of a wheel makeup, we're looking at comic book movies, we're looking at sports movies. And then for Nick Harley, he works for Den of Geek. And one piece that I found is that some of his favorite movies include like Goodfellas, The Godfather, Zoolander. So I'm kind of thinking from his point of view, maybe we're looking at the 3 C's, classics, crime, and comedies. So I think that's maybe where we're kind of looking at from a round 2 point of view, but it's going to be exciting one way or another.
Yeah, we've got a lot of big talk coming out of Knight as he's put out that promo. We already discussed that one a little bit. I think he's just keying into his character. He's coming out and he's showing you who he is and announcing to the world that he wants to win, that he's going to be the best. The problem with that promo that happens for everybody who cuts a promo where they say how great they are before they step in the ring is always, can you meet the expectations? It'll be interesting to see what he can put up against Mr. Harley. And I hope, Mr. Knight, that you are watching our show, that you are a fan of This Week in the FCL, because you've got your very own scouting report from Keith Kilduff. That's invaluable. Make sure you take advantage of this. I don't know. I'm really excited about both of these guys. I don't know as much as you do about them, but that's some very interesting information and obviously some things that Mr. Knight, you are going to want to avoid on that wheel potentially. Listen to Keith. He knows what he's talking about. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, well, I'm just very excited about these matches. And like I keep saying, it is the unknown when it comes to the FCL with a lot of these competitors. That's exciting for me, finding new talent, experiencing new talent, and hopefully getting a lot more new talent on the show. I'm sure Andrew later on will put another plea out to everybody to give us a message, hopefully. But yeah, so is there anything else you guys want to say about the up-and-coming events?
I mean, I think there's something to be said here. And, I mean, I don't know how Brad Gilmore pulls it off. What a main event they've got scheduled for next week. We've got Devon Stewart, and I must have missed the news on Twitter. Was it some sort of like a Muhammad Ali situation? John Roca changed his name to Kofi, and he's now competing in the FCL. Is that what I'm hearing? We've got the Outlaw versus Devon Stewart, a man who appropriated your own culture, Chris, just judging by the UK on the end of your Twitter handle. And I could not be more excited. What could possibly break this excitement? I don't know, but I'll turn it over to Keith now, fully expecting everything to stay exactly as I just said. Keith?
Not really, Andrew. I'm sorry. But I will say, like Roca, he is a big wrestling guy. There's a lot of content on his channel that is very wrestling focused. So I think he's going to understand what the gig is in terms of, I think we're going to get a really, really strong promo from him. And listen, if guys want the inside track, you come to me. Simple as. So Devon, listen up, because this is what we're looking at. We're looking at comic book movies. Look at his Rotten Tomatoes. It's very, very heavily weighted on 2010s movies, action and sci-fi. There you go. There's the inside track. Whatever you want to do after that, kid, go with it. But the big thing I think for Kofi that we need to realize is, and you guys alluded to it last week, this first free agency period is coming around in the Schmoedown. Kofi's name is on it. Big performance here Tuesday night, and this guy could get picked up fairly rapid.
I mean, that's definitely a good point, and all the competitors have to be thinking about that. I believe we spoke about this before, and we all said that maybe we'd like to see a little bit of restraint from the managers, take some time, let people get a match or two out of the way. But that being said, you're in a competition. If you're Roxy Stryer or you're Bob Finstock and you see a player in the FCL who really blows you away, you don't want to wait and find out that somebody else got to them first. So I could see these players going up. And yes, absolutely, that's got to be the impression that Outlaw is going to want to make coming into this matchup. And of course, our competitors have a lot to look forward to in every match, just as you have a lot to look forward to in the FCL, some great movie trivia action and the Schmoedown. Check it out today. Join Patreon if you haven't already and support movie trivia on YouTube. Check us out all over as well. Follow us on Twitter. Of course, we are all available. You see those names scrolling by on the bottom of your screen. This Week FCL on Twitter. We're always here to bring you the latest news, the updates, and great interviews like we had today with Andrew Furtado. What a wonderful competitor. Thank you, Andrew, for joining us. He's the first. Will he be the last? Well, Chris, you asked for it. You're going to get it. Let's bring the elk out and let's say it once again. FCL competitors, you've seen the show we put together. You've seen the spotlight we can shine, and you've seen the knowledge brought by Keith, the energy brought by me. When Ryan's here, you've seen how he can break it all down. And Chris, the man, the myth, the legend, running the show. What we need from you, we need you to look good. That's what we want for you. So come on our show. We'll make you look good. We'll give you that spotlight. We'll give you the chance to call out whoever you want. Schmoedown, FCL, hell, call out somebody from the movie Trivia Face-Off. It doesn't even exist anymore. But do it right here on This Week in FCL. If you're anywhere else, you're not making the right choice. Bring it on. And we'll continue to bring it on to you as well. Once again, thank you for joining us. Do like, share, subscribe, comment. Hell, tell all your friends about it. And join us next week as we talk about This Week in the FCL.